how's it going? Just before we get into the episode, I want to let you know that we now have a Patreon. I'm pretty sure you know what a Patreon is. It's a way you supporting this podcast. If you want to help us, cover the cost of the studio, all those kind of things, and maybe get a bit of extra content for yourself. If you join at the lowest tier, you will get 48 hours early access to all the studio episodes. And we got some big guests coming on, so it's going to be worth doing that. And if you hit the higher tiers, maybe you get a little bit of extra stuff. We got some custom content that's going to be exclusive to the Patreon that you can't see anywhere else. And at the highest tier, maybe I'll do a little custom content specifically for you. Yep, that's all available. It's patreon.com/Kinell Sinister Cinema. The link's in the comments. If you are interested, check that out. Anyway, on with the show.
Yes, people, what's good? I'm Kinell, and this is Sinister Cinema, where we get deep into the guts of the stranger side of cinema. Kinell Sinister Cinema is brought to you by Forgotten Sons Apparel. Check them out at forgottensonsapparel.co.uk. Forgotten Sons Apparel is a York-based streetwear brand drawing inspiration from alternative culture, tattoos, film, classic TV and cartoons from our childhood. In our own words, if you like our stuff half as much as we do, then we like it twice as much as you. I'm a big fan of this brand and I love the guys who make it. They've supported me for years, way before I was podcasting. They supported me in my battle rap career. You might have seen me rocking some of their garms on Don't Flop and other leagues. I love Forgotten Sons Apparel and I'm urging you all to check them out at forgottensonsapparel.co.uk. Right, now on with the show.
Yes, it is once again the Kinell Sinister Cinema. We got a special deep dive episode for you today, going into one of my favourite films of the last year. And there was only one guest I wanted on for it. I've spoken to other people about doing conspiracy podcasts before, but when I decide, the more I watch this film, I decided it's no, it has to be just about this. And once I decided that, you were the only guest of choice. So yes, Dean.
How's it going? It's Dean, aka LSDean. I have sacrificed many of my personal relationships getting way too into the Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy, staying up way too late, going a bit insane, but it was all for you. It was all for you.
Yes, because, of course, the film we are diving into today is The Scary of 61st by Dasha Nekrasova, and I'm going to pull out the IMDb because I completely forgot to write down all the notes of all that I'm going to have to be referencing in this. But yeah, The Scary of 61st. This is a film from Dasha Nekrasova, most famously, unless you watch Succession, from the Red Scare podcast. She's very associated with that sort of Brooklyn.
Yeah, the whole podcast scene. She's dated a few people. She's an it girl. She was also a while back in that famous fucking Alex Jones InfoWars.
Yeah. She did it in a Sailor Moon costume, didn't she?
Her saying someone had brainworms. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was pretty fantastic. But yeah, I do love a bit of InfoWars, man.
It's class. It's class.
Just as entertainment, January 6th when they're invading the Capitol building. I was having such a great day. I had flipping InfoWars streaming on my tablet. I had CNN on my TV. Flipping, I had Twitter on the go. I was like, this is fantastic.
It was pretty funny, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, in one of our first episodes, I basically said that the January 6th attacks on the Capitol building were predicted by Gremlins 2, the new batch.
Can you explain why?
Have you seen Gremlins 2, the new batch?
When I was a child.
Yeah. You do need to give that one a rewatch, by the way, but just the gremlin energy of the protesters, the terrorists, depends on what angle. The flipping idiots is basically what it is. These guys were some muppets, and they weren't really dangerous. I think that was greatly exaggerated and all.
Yeah, I had my own feelings on that. It was kind of just let some dickheads in so that we can call these lot terrorists for the next 4 years. Yeah. And then next time, we'll let different dickheads in. We could call them terrorists for the next 4 years. And it's all culture war bollocks.
This is it. It's not about getting anything right or coming to a correct decision about anything. It's just about pointing fingers at the other side.
Which is a lovely way to bring in the scary of 61st, I think.
Yeah, the scary of 61st. I mentioned this film a couple of times in this podcast, and I will break it down quickly. Let's give you the quick IMDb synopsis. Or maybe I've just got some... I've got the wrong thing. I've got the wrong screen up. There we go. Yes, two roommates' lives are upended after finding out their new Manhattan apartment harbours a dark secret. And that dark secret is that it was formerly owned by notorious nonce Jeffrey Epstein.
Mega nonce, I would say.
Yeah.
Let's not just give him nonce. He is a mega nonce. Give him credit for that.
Yeah. He's... you know... They say at least Hitler made the trains run on time.
He made the planes run on time.
Yep, he did that. But yeah, Scary as 61st. Like, you hadn't seen this film at the time that I asked you to do this, but I knew you'd be the person for the podcast because I knew, like me, you'd done a lot of researching into this whole Epstein thing, like, before he was even arrested, like.
Yeah.
And, it was just something we were aware of. And you're also familiar with the sort of podcast scene from which Nekrasov sort of came to notoriety. And you're also, like me, you're a battle rapper. We're both rappers. And we both performed in New York. So we got a lot in common that makes this film ideal for us to discuss. And the Venn diagram of all those three circles is a pinprick in the middle. And
it's like 5 people on Earth and 3 of them are entertaining to watch, and the other one made this movie. So
yeah,
we can't get her. Her booking fee's way too high. She's on Succession. We're not getting her.
Yeah, this is it. That's not happening.
Her train fee's mega.
Yeah, flipping her. Shout out all 2 of the Patreons. Hopefully there'll be more of you soon. Like, you're probably watching this on Tuesday, if so. But yeah. So yeah, Scary as 61st is a film that I first came across through the Soho Horror Festival, organised by Mitch Harrod, and like, he's such an exceptional creator. He's way ahead of the game with these things. Like, he also had a film called The Pizzagate Massacre on the same thing. This was just before Christmas. I went there and I performed some bars at the actual festival itself.
Sick.
And like, this cool little, like, I'm definitely going to the next one. This cool little indie cinema called World in Brixton. Like, it's great. It's like sort of built under I think it's like maybe former train tracks because there's like arch to it or something. I don't know, but it's something anyway. But I came across it there and I was quite blown away by this film at first. Like, I thought it was a fantastic film, but like, since then I've purchased this, like, paid for the import on it. It's the Posh Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray release of it, and it's gorgeous, isn't it?
It's very nice.
Gorgeous.
It's very, very nice.
I really like that image. I'm going to put this up on the screen, like that image. That's evocative, isn't it?
It gets the people going.
Yeah, man. But yeah, it's an incredible piece of work. But I knew you would love this film, but you hadn't seen it at the time I watched it. So what was your sort of immediate reaction to it?
Well, I didn't think it... I thought it was going to be entertaining and not good.
Yeah.
And it was... I mean, it wasn't the complete opposite of that. It was really fucking good. Like, the detail of it, I just thought they were going to do some hot button issues and fucking get people going. But no, like... I almost think this film would be better if they'd chosen a different... if they just made up a pedophile and made it about them and made it obvious. Because it just works as a movie. It works as a movie.
Yeah.
I can't put myself in the shoes of someone who hasn't spent a lot of their life researching Epstein. And maybe that's why it works so much for me. Maybe it's like all those stupid Marvel movies where they don't work if you haven't spent 16 hours of your life doing something else. It's the Marvel of pedophiles, really.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was a fantastic film. Like,
yeah, it's an incredible piece of filmmaking. Like, they've done a lot, I've referenced it previously in a couple of episodes because I talk about exploitation films a lot on this podcast. A lot of people don't really know what an exploitation film is. They say that they think it's a film where someone's getting exploited. No, that's not what it is. It's generally indie filmmaking, which gets its market by doing something and saying stuff that the mainstream filmmakers can't do.
Yeah.
And like with the Scary of 61st, like they're saying stuff that like no other media can do. A lot of the stuff they say in this, I mean, like I was just talking with Foresight about this last week. Like just earlier this week, Cunt and the Gang had they put out the video for Prince Andrew as a sweaty nonce and just got their YouTube just taken down.
Yeah.
And like flipping, you can have your social media presence taken away from you from saying these things, but this film does explicitly say these things, and I think that's the best thing about it is that it does say it. You don't have to figure it out. It's about it.
Which in a topic that's so much like it's so much a thing. So much of my life is just avoiding saying the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, or avoiding being like, oh, I don't like this celebrity. Like to the day, you know, I love my partner. They were trying to suggest that I watch some podcast with Peter Mandelson in it. And I didn't want to be like, oh, Peter Mandelson flew on the Lolita Express and is in the Transatlantic Commission and is probably part of the paedophile elite. Because it just makes you sound insane. Whereas this movie is actually like indulging you and being like, oh, you're not insane. Like, those are all verifiable facts. Like,
yeah, but the interesting thing that is about is like, the film tells you you're not insane by showing you people who are insane.
And are driven insane.
Yeah.
That's what I really liked about it.
Yeah. There's a...
Should we dive into it?
Yeah, let's go.
So I like, from the intro is super... The intro is lovely little panning, establishing shots. It really reminded me of The Shining. It's like an extended voyage into... Instead of voyage into the woods, it's voyage into the bowels of the city... And you've got this lovely 80s score playing. Yeah. You got the lovely film grain. It's so 80s.
I'd say possibly even like maybe 70s because it was a shot in 16mm, which is an incredibly hard thing to do these days. Like it's very difficult. Like the filmmakers who still use film are generally on first name terms with Kodak.
Yeah,
and the people who actually make the film. But like, yeah, you mentioned Kubrick. Like I think Eyes Wide Shut has a lot to do with this film, like.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that was, of course, like, although it was filmed in the UK, it was set in New York, like, and what's it called? I think we're in the Upper East Side is where this is set. That's where the apartment where these girls move in. It's kind of it's a lot of old money around there. You don't like Upper East Side. We're in Seinfeld country.
See,
we're in what's it called? The country of Polanski and the apartment trilogy.
The old money and this is why I thought the film was trying to give a bit of The Shining, is that from these establishing shots and these gargoyles and these gothic structures, it almost gave me, in a sense, a kind of like Indian burial ground movie. You know, a kind of like, these are the crimes that this world is built on. These are the things that will haunt you. These are the demons of this part of our world. Like that's kind of what I don't know, kind of an impression that I got of it was trying to bring you back to that level of filmmaking, and also just be like, yeah, there's not gonna be a jump scare. Like we're actually gonna try and make a movie here.
Yeah, there's there's all these weird gargoyles and bits of architecture, and I believe it was that Necrosova and a DP, like they sort of went around, they started noticing all these things. A lot of them, they strike me as like quite classically European, like, and like fucking like you. Thing it puts me in mind of is like fucking like Brussels, like the fucking mannequin piss.
Yeah,
do you know about that?
No, go on.
This is like the most famous fucking like landmark in Brussels, the mannequin piss, which I believe translates to piss mannequin.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just a fucking statue of a toddler with his little dick out, and it's fucking like there's a fucking like stream of water connected to it, and it's just pissing in.
Oh right, yeah, I have seen this. Yeah,
they say that's their most famous thing. Like that's their big landmark. This weird fucking like statue of a fucking toddler like having a fucking waz.
It kind of ties into something that I thought this film did really well, and I also think a lot of people get tripped up on when they're looking into conspiracy theories is just occult symbology, because our world is full of it, and we pretend that it's not, which is another one of the Indian burial ground things of our lives that we never address, this thing that's underground of just like, why has everyone got this? Why has certain buildings got this? And it's so easy to fall into the trap of, oh, it's some magic thing, and it's like,
yeah, this is it. I think a lot of the QAnon lot went down that way. Like, they try and draw links between everything, and there aren't links. Like, and like it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, because like people are saying like, oh, like most of these people they're just powerful. They're just they're just nonsense. They're just murderers. They're just sociopaths. You know, they're not fucking like witches and fucking wizards and that. But because people become so fascinated with this fucking iconography, then they kind of like sort of bring it in. I mean, it's like, well, that like people were like a lot of people when flipping that Epstein's mansion was cleaned out. They were talking about the
the dress,
the painting.
Bill Clinton in the blue dress.
Yeah. And because that was part of 2-part paintings, and the other one was like Bush like playing with paper aeroplanes, an extra model of the Twin Towers and all that. And like, you know, they're saying, oh, this proves that it was all linked. It's like, no, that's a joke that they find funny.
Yeah,
which is fucked up.
So I have like when I try and understand the world, I have like just a providing like thing that I live by, which is basically that. If you have something historic and you have something today and there's no inciting incident that could change it, you can assume it to act the same. So if we go back to have you ever been to the People's History Museum in Manchester?
Nah, I've done nothing cultural whatsoever, man.
It's
literally
proper good,
nothing,
you know. You'd like it. It's a lot of so they've kind of had to water it down recently, but it's a lot of like working class history, and they have a lot of exhibits in there that are like old, early trade unions that their symbology is all like fucking skulls holding hands and shit like that, and it's not that the occult is not a way of doing magic. It's a way of showing other people in your closed system, hey, we're in the system. You know what I mean? Like the fucking trade unions aren't fucking. Well, they were killing people, which is cool. They're not fucking like doing magic. Like that is. It's
a nod and a wink. It's a secret handshake.
Which is of course,
it's a fist
what
bump.
they do. Like, why wouldn't you? And why would they ever have changed that? The only reason they'd change that is change the method in which they do it.
Yeah, man.
So,
I suppose we should mention like a QAnon, like because like a lot of people got involved with like QAnon over lockdown. It was the people who never like had any kind of experience with conspiracies before, but like this crazy fucking event happened. We're all on lockdown. They're alone with YouTube, and like they don't understand anything anymore, so they just start believing anything. And initially, it went with the fucking like the microchips and the vaccine, like, and like. A lot of people got into QAnon, and like flipping Epstein's like something that is kind of tied into that. But the difference is with QAnon, it's very much something that was a political agenda-driven thing, and also it was mainly lies. There are these elite nonsense, but it's not everyone who voted against Trump and no one else.
That's the thing, that it's taking something that is very real and needs an explanation, and taking your established grievances against certain public figures and being like, oh, this is all this person. This is all the person you already didn't like, is this mysterious thing that we're not allowed to explain. So it's just basically a way of the right being able to look at the face of what has fucking happened with Jeffrey Epstein and offer a solution to it, which, to be fair, a lot of people can't on the other side, which is kind of what Dasha is doing in a way, is that she is ostensibly a leftist. Like, I'm sure a lot of the fucking Twitter people would probably try and ban her because she used a hard R in this film, but she is.
Well, this is it. Like, I mean, there's this concept of the dirtbag left, which is one thing that exists in like left in sort of like, you know, we're both fucking, you know, I'm socialist as fuck, you know, we're both very left wing guys, but there's kind of like become this era where like there's conditions being put on. You can.
Yeah. Well, everything is culture war because a lot of people have fatalistically accepted nothing can change.
Yeah.
The only thing that can change is culture. So everything has to be, oh, are you allowed to make a joke? Oh, are you allowed to make a movie about this? Oh, are you allowed to do that? Because We can't, like, fucking... someone else is going to write the laws. Jeffrey Epstein's going to fuck kids. We're not going to change these things. So we have to just talk about random fucking bullshit to bide the time and pretend we're doing something.
This is it, because obviously we were both, like, quite ahead on the whole Epstein thing. So, like, when people were just sort of discovering it, or when people were just sort of getting into it and discovering it through a Facebook screenshot of an Instagram post that's a low-resolution picture of a tweet that doesn't exist anymore, but someone's holding up a phone with a cracked screen, taking a photo of it, it's got an Instagram filter on it, and people are taking that as like, this proves it. And it's like, no, there is some truth to what's going on in there, but this is not proof, and this is just bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, I remember someone posting, a picture of, like, oh, this is, like, Ghislaine Maxwell was clearly Ghislaine Maxwell who abducted Madeleine McCann, because, look, there's this picture, and, like, Jeffrey Epstein owns property.
Oh, yeah, and it's just a picture of an ugly woman. Like, oh, there was an ugly woman in Portugal at the time that Madeleine McCann was, oh, dear. There's a lot of ugly people. Like, it didn't have to be.
I was trying to explain to people, they were telling me, no, he has property there, so it could have been. I'm like, fucking. Like,
he's a billionaire. He has property everywhere.
Yeah.
He had a property in a holiday village.
They had a very, very sophisticated grooming operation involving modelling agencies that were working with Les Wexner's fucking Victoria's Secret in order to sort of indoctrinate people into this stuff. She wasn't fucking, like, going around fucking
with a
3-star hotel and fucking big butterfly net and a fucking, like, Werther's Original on a bit of string, like trying door handles in a Portuguese hotel with a burlap sack on the off chance. But yeah, it's very fucking. Has anyone benefited more from the culture war than fucking Les Wexner?
I really don't think so. I think it might. I mean, to be honest, Rupert Murdoch. But apart from that,
yeah. But for context, Les Wexner is the owner of Victoria's Secret, and he's also basically the guy who put Jeffrey Epstein on. Like, he's the guy who...
I would say he's one of them. I would say Barr Senior, for me, that's the one that I, like, go insane that no one ever talks about. You know what I mean? Yeah,
flipping. And he gave him his first mansion, and, like, Les Wexner's, like, a pretty critical factor in how Jeffrey Epstein got to be Jeffrey Epstein, and he all this Victoria's Secret. So while, like, fucking, like, when Prince Andrew can't duck charges, like, and has to be paying things off, when Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison, and, like, all these things, Les Wexner flipping, like, Victoria's Secret go, oh, we've got a trans model now. And we've got a fat model now. And people are like, yay! You do realise he
does fuck kids.
Yeah.
But should we deep dive the plot? So
yeah, let's get in there.
It starts out, it's got these lovely establishing shots of the city. It's kind of painting the scene. And then it has these two girls viewing an apartment.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, I don't know, the guy who's showing it, it's a bit creepy. It's so dated, but it's so... The way that they're talking, it's like it's Brooklyn podcast girl, like, yeah, oh, we should do this, yeah. But it's almost like something that I thought fed into the exploitation.
You had a proper Swedish.
Oh yeah. This is very good. We will fuck kids here. Yes, no. No, it's like almost it added to the exploitation film. It felt like porn dialogue. Like, everything was so, like...
But, I mean, that is a whole genre of pornography, is, like renting apartments pornography.
Yeah,
like,
true,
now, isn't it?
True.
Like, there's a whole genre on Pornhub where people just, like, try and rent flats they can't afford. Because that's what people's greatest fantasy is now, like, is affordable housing.
But the other side of that is...
Nothing turns me on more than getting a good deal on rent.
But the other side of that is the rich person who's like, oh, I can't get anyone to fuck me, but I could coerce them into it.
Yeah.
Which is essentially what Jeff did. But so they have this apartment. They get a great deal on it. It's, like, very obviously, like...
They don't even get that great a deal on it, like, do they? It's just, like, something that they just really want that apartment.
This is another thing that adds to my... Indian burial ground theme of, like, getting a house on the cheap. That's literally a plot in The Simpsons, that you got a house on the cheap because there's a deep, dark secret.
Well, there was a plot in The Simpsons because it was kind of a trope from 80s horror, like,
Yeah.
and like you don't get that so much in like kind of modern horror because like one thing we learned is that no matter how many people have been murdered in the building, the price doesn't go down. You have to be in current danger of getting murdered in there for the property to go down anymore. Like, that's quite an interesting scene. Like there's that whole bit where like they point out that the flat that they are viewing is dirty, and he goes, "Get a mop."
That scene almost like there was probably something that I missed in that was like they were like, oh, can we hire a cleaner? And he was like, you can't clean it yourself. There was something in that I felt like it was like a, you know, when like there's an Easter egg that you don't get. Yeah. Like I was like, is this some kind of weird theory that I'm not privy to? Like which episode of True and On did I miss that I don't get? The mop was related to the island.
It's like kind of a like I kind of read it in terms of like it's a judgment thing. Like I think he's this guy is very much looking down on him. You know, he's like saying like, you can't afford a fucking cleaner. You shouldn't be here.
True.
Why am I even showing you around this shit?
There's the slight class dynamic that Addie is shown to be richer than Noelle. And they talk about her background, which I thought this was genius in the way that they show the tropes of people and how they're exploited. That Addie was someone who, from very early, it is established she has a shitty rich father.
Yeah.
So anyone who's truly eye emoji pilled is like, nonce, immediately, nonce, definitely. Yeah. And that she kind of is this upper middle class person who lives on her own parents' guilt. And that's the world that she lives in. Yeah,
I read quite a lot into this, like with Addie's background, because I think it's kind of hinted at that she's kind of like like trying to be an actress or something.
Oh yeah, like, I took her to be in a film that Dasha inserts herself into. Yeah. She wasn't the self-insert, Addie was.
Yeah,
like they're very much. If you watch, it's interesting. Both of the Red Scare hosts are in this movie, but I still feel like Addie and Noelle are them too. Like they've wrote a movie about themselves.
Yeah,
in a weird way.
Yeah, I believe Necrosova's like she's kind of like been. She said like what should we call it? Like the characters all represent different things about her. Because I mean the whole thing is like it's structured like a detective story, but nothing gets solved.
So they get this apartment. There's the classic dark and scary night. Like there's a lovely little scene. You know what? It's also like, and a lot of the Red Scare podcast is talking about BPD. Both of the hosts have BPD, and it's very early established Addie has BPD. Like, Addie's desperate to sleep in the bed with Noelle, which at first I was like, oh, is that some... And it was just like, they were trying to display the relationship between these two, that Addie is someone who has been abused and needs... They're showing all the tropes of the disorder, which I liked it in a way, because it was like a nice, like... It wasn't being like, you didn't have to say on the surface like, oh, this person has it, but it was like, okay, well, they obviously do. So they're trying to go to sleep that night. Addie's desperate to sleep in a bed with Noelle. Noelle is very much like, oh, I won't let you. And you can see on Addie's face, she's like, oh, this person's immediately abandoning me. She has abandonment issues. She has a lot of issues. Yeah. And then they do the dark and stormy night.
I think that comes in a lot with like the idea that she's like trying to be an actor or something. Because like,
well, it's someone who's easily exploitable.
Like I think a big factor here is the T-shirt.
What remind me?
The T-shirt that says "Sisterhood" in the Hollywood.
Oh yeah, in the Hollywood sign. Yeah.
Yeah, flipping. I've been reading up a lot. Like I've listened to a lot of commentaries. Been listening to like podcasts about this. Like I've come to a completely different conclusion about that T-shirt that anyone else does. Like because I think like one of the things about Addie is that like her character is someone who's like because obviously she's the one who later becomes possessed, if that's what it is. I feel like fucking like she is like fucking a setup of a character who's like who can be easily indoctrinated.
Exactly, and there's something about the Epstein case that people and the Maxwell case that people don't always realize is that most of it was women grooming women. Yeah, and she's someone who wraps herself in these tropes of third wave feminism.
Yeah,
and then gets easily exploited.
Yeah, like the whole sisterhood thing. Because, like, one big reading I have, like I kind of got, like, because, like, actors, Like there are some actors who are very good actors because they haven't really they're quite empty inside, so they can embody a personality, they can embody a character better. Apparently there's some very big actors that are like that, and like those same qualities about them are like why a lot of them end up getting involved in Scientology, for example, and because they're looking for something to fill that gap, and like Dianetics, all those kind of all those kind of like thought exercises and shit they do are like quite similar to things that happen in fucking acting school and all this.
Yeah.
And I also felt that sisterhood thing had a bit to do with like Nexium.
You're gonna have to go into this.
Nexium would be the that was the cult. With her out of Smallville.
Yeah.
They're doing time for human trafficking. It was kind of like basically a pyramid scheme of like human trafficking. Like they'd get these women in and say you could be part of this inner fucking circle. And you've got to be branded and all this. And if you become this person's slave and do their slave things, eventually you will get your own slaves. And it works like that. And basically it's just human fucking trafficking and all that, but it was presented through the kind of form of commercial sisterhood, because that was it. It was done through like corporate meetings and all that kind of thing, and I think like that.
That's definitely a theme that happens today. That this is something that is going to get me yelled at on the internet. That like, there's so many people that I'm like, you see people.
No one will yell at you on here, man. Fucking no one's watching.
Yeah, I meant in like 10 years when I run for office, and they're like, "Oh, you remember that guy who got arrested for posting his conspiracy theories? He was on his podcast."
Yes.
But like you do see that, like people like fucking 18-year-old women being encouraged to start an OnlyFans by fucking 25-year-old OnlyFans girls. You know what I mean? And they can like they can promo that and be like, and it's like, that's grooming. That is grooming. Just because you're a woman and you're not receiving sexual gratification from it.
Was it Bad Barbie? Daniel Bregioli?
Yeah, she has one. That's insane.
Yeah,
That's
she had
insane.
one on her 18th birthday, like.
Yeah, you can't look at, like, even, whatever, you're fucking the same age as her.
Like, for context, that's the, Cash Me Outside girl, like, flipping, like.
I don't care
on her 18th birthday, like that was when she was, like, 14. She had her OnlyFans out on her 18 and like flipping.
I can't look at her without seeing her at 14 years old. You know what I mean? It's like looking at a family friend. You're just like, okay, well, you're a child.
Yeah.
Like I can never see her as an 18-year-old. That just won't happen in my brain. I can't do that. She could be 30 and I'll be like, a bit weird that. Not sure about that.
That's what fucking like anyone below 25 looks like to me now, man. Like fucking.
So there's the Dark and Stormy Night. Addie mentions before that she obviously has some kind of prescription drug problem. She lives in New York. Everyone does. Yeah. And Noelle says
I think we got a bit of a like kind of matrix coding with the pills, because you got some of the chicks are on the Ambien, some of the chicks are on the Adderall.
Yeah.
And it's like the blue pill and the red pill, like they're coded in capsules.
Oh, that's
like,
interesting.
I think we got a matrix thing.
Well,
going
Noelle
on
mentions that Ambien gives her nightmares, and then Addie immediately has these like scary ass nightmares, which is a fun way of playing on the is it real? Is it not real? Like it had a little bit of the Lake Mungos at that point where you're just like, I don't know which direction they're going with this.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, they get a knock on the door from Darsha's character, who's never actually named.
The girl she's known as.
That's really interesting to me, because that almost gives me a Jane Doe vibe.
Yeah.
You know, the not being named, which we should mention, actually. Darsha. Yeah. I feel super posh when I say Darsha.
Yeah.
She is close friends with one of the Jane Does in the Epstein case, and actually was at the public reading. I don't think this person's been named. I think it's... but she was at the first public reading of the statement against Epstein and Maxwell, because her friend actually was involved in it. So that's an interesting little part of this, of why she's so interested in this case. But I felt like that's why they didn't name her. It was like, these people are faceless, these people are nameless, the victims, they're the people who are really being taken advantage of here. But yeah, so she shows up in middle of the night. She looks like a crazy person at the door. You don't really know what she's there for. Like, at first, I'm like, oh, is she the Ghislaine insert? Yeah. But they tell her, they hide, she fucks off, Addie the next day goes to stay with her idiot boyfriend, and Noelle's left alone, at which point Dasha comes in and instantly gets her into the Epstein case. There's a little bit, 5 minutes of playing around. Kind of could have done with a bit more. Kind of could have had a little bit more before, like...
I think that was kind of like a conscious choice. Like it's being bombarded with new information. It's chaos. Like another one, brother.
See, that's expert. You see that? He's heard the can tinkling. He's already on it.
I know these things.
He's aware.
And I've actually got my cans in my flipping rucksack right next to me, so we don't have that one bit where I walk off in the middle of the episode and flipping have to grab a can.
You know what? I'm remarking on this expert mic. This is insane. I'm trying to get the hang of it myself. Like this, your ability to just adjust. Yeah. I didn't even know it went up.
Yeah, man, flipping it. I've been working on this. Flipping. I've been studying Andrew Schultz because he always looks really casual with his mic.
See, I started side mouthing it, and now I don't want to fuck up your audio by full mouthing it. Because if I full mouth it now, your levels are fucked.
Hey, it's blessed, man. It's blessed. I can normalise the whole thing. We're cool.
Oh, that's good. I thought you were gonna have to go in and automate it.
Nah, man.
That's
I don't automate a goddamn thing with these.
So Dasha gets Noelle super into the case.
Yeah.
What is in Oh, there's a great scene where Addie comes back with her boyfriend, who is the everyman insert. Not everyman, the prick who listens. The prick who watches the news insert.
He's like a dumb fuck boyfriend.
Yeah,
he's just like a likable dumb fuck. He's a fucking himbo. He's a character devoid.
I think he's a prick. I don't like him at all. I hate him. We did have that great line where they talk about Jeffrey Epstein, and he's instantly that. The way that they set up that you should know who he is him going, "Oh, Jeffrey Epstein, that's the guy who murdered himself." He's the guy who believes the bullshit. He's the guy who can see what's happening and is still no, everything's normal. My life's great. I don't care.
I think there's kind of an implication for him. I mean, there's because we get the scene quite early on when he's in bed with his missus. And she's in front of him, and he's on his laptop playing some kind of henty schoolgirl computer game.
That is you know what? I thought this film was so beautifully shot. The only note I would have on this entire film is film the screen, don't put the screen on. For that scene, I sometimes like it when they put a MacBook screen on screen. Yeah. I sometimes like that. I loved it in Vice because it also, I don't know. Because I watched it on streaming, I watched it on Shudder. Yeah. It worked because I was watching it on a Mac. So I saw the Mac screen, I was like, oh, that's fun. Yeah. But they just my screen instantly was just a hentai game. And I was like, it just completely took me out of it. It's completely. But I'll tell you something about
Did you have the panic gear oh, Christ, I've got my hentai game.
Which tab am I on? Which tab am I on? No,
that's the thing, I think someone mentioned it in a Letterboxd review that because the target audience for the film is probably watching it on illegal flipping on an illegal stream.
He's watching it on Tor browser.
They just shit themselves when the henty porn game.
They're like, oh, the pop-ups are back.
Yeah.
Singles near Stockport. Need to get rid of these.
Yeah.
Why is it always Stockport? I live in Manchester. Why can't you get Manchester's bigger than Stockport? Yeah. Why is it? So the note about Greg that I had that I thought was a fun part is he's the only person in this fucking film who is shown to have a job.
Yeah.
He does not have time to get into Epstein. Yeah. He's got to go to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
he's
very
the regular human being.
That's very much the thing. I mean, I think in one of Dasha's there was an interview where she was talking about what she kind of effectively believes this character of the girl to be like, and it's comes from her own insecurities, and basically I think there's very much a giallo thing going on with the amateur fucking detective that doesn't know how to be a detective giallo's popping at the minute, man. Do you know about giallo?
I don't. I have no idea.
It's this Italian sort of thriller style that was really big. It's called giallo because it's yellow and it comes from the pages. These paperback
my
books.
My flatmate's a proper filmy and he was
yeah,
watching
yeah,
some weird Italian
like Barbara Argento and all this.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and like that old style's coming back, man. Flipping like all the best films from all my favorite films from last year, like Malignant and Last Night in Soho, all took like stylistic cues from them.
Yeah.
Whereas this kind of takes the trope of like the someone who isn't a detective who has to be a detective, or in this case, or in some cases, just trying to be a detective.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe like Nekrosova's character is. It's like she wants to be. She's doing this detective because she can't deal with like how fucked her life is.
Yeah.
And the reason her life is fucked is because, you know, she hasn't like necessarily made the right choices and all these kind of things, but she's in this bad position. She doesn't know how to deal with it. So you do want to blame capitalism. You do want to blame the Illuminati. You do want to blame you do want to find a higher reason for it, because if you can find a higher reason for it, then it's not your fault.
And she's very non-committal about her theories. Like, she does mention capitalism at one point, but she's very non-committal on, like, is it Prince... Like, Noelle instantly changes her mind on Prince Andrew. She says, oh, it's not Prince Andrew. Then Noelle just goes, oh, well, they control the entire British media. And suddenly the girl is like, oh, yeah, I guess it might be Prince Andrew. You know what I mean?
This is it, man. This is it.
So they have the scene where Noelle and Addie. I liked it. It was cute. They have the like manic drug taking. There's Mac screens popping on the screen. There's different flashcards of actual pictures. I thought it was fun. I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
that.
that bit's quite interesting because
it captured the feeling of mania online, of going mad on the laptop, which we've all done. We've all gone a bit insane on the internet, and it's a really specific feeling of that like information overload.
Like we both seen that exact drone footage, haven't it? Yeah. But this is what I'm saying about like why an independent film can say something that like no other thing can, because those things were like actual YouTube videos, the drone footage,
they were. It's fucking hard to find them now.
Yeah, but they all got stung like big tech censorship, a lot of which came in like on the back of like COVID and all this. Like all those videos in that are all videos that we used to look at that have all been nuked from existence.
Yeah, that's an interesting part of this film. That like one of the points of this film is just that when you look into these theories, a lot of these they'll make you feel insane. Like when COVID was used as an excuse to pass a load of new security laws, the big push was, oh, there's so many COVID conspiracy theories. There's so many people who are against all these laws because they think it's all 5G and they're insane. And it's like, it's a way of... It's called
that was used to get rid of a lot of action. That was
also 5G is bad. 5G is bad in the sense that like having the Internet of Things and being able to have a security camera that can triangulate someone's position and figure out through the Internet of Things and the Bluetooth signals whose phone belongs to who and instantly load up their social media profiles and who is who in an area, that's not good. That's a bad thing to happen. Like, you're not insane for thinking that, like...
Yeah, I don't give a shit, to be honest, man. To be honest, I'm just glad that in 2 weeks I'm finally getting fucking fibre broadband in Hambridge. In the end, like, I have been fighting for my life uploading these fucking long, fucking high-quality episodes in some cases. I've had to reduce quality in sometimes to get these episodes uploaded before I start work on Monday. I'm on through a little bit of copper wire. Flipping, yes, come on, tech overlords, do that. But the tech censorship, I don't like that, man.
So they have that scene where Noelle's getting really into it, and then, lovely, I really liked it, you know. They have Addie asleep, and the demon flashes on the screen.
Yeah.
Corny as fuck. I'm into it. I love it. I can understand someone who that turns them off instantly. It almost reminded me of the Power Rangers movie. It was like that level of complete camp, unsubtle whatsoever.
It put me in mind of the Flash of Pazuzu in The Exorcist.
Oh right, okay, yeah. Because they also have Addie fucking her boyfriend, which I thought was I thought it was a great scene.
Yeah.
Them having the worst sex ever to be conceived of, which is just a great cue to who Addie is, and she's unsatisfied as a human being, and maybe she's...
Says a lot about Greg and all, like...
It does. Maybe she's sexually unavailable because of her experiences in her life.
Yeah.
And then suddenly she's possessed by... At first, I thought she was possessed by the ghost of sicko Jeffrey Epstein, but I think as the film goes on...
Like, the implication is that she's become... Like she's taken on the spirit of one of these girls that was kept in this flat by Jeffrey Epstein that had interactions with Prince Andrew and then maybe developed some kind of like Stockholm syndrome, some kind of attachment.
I believe it's Virginia, I want to say Guthrie's. I might be wrong on that, but it's like very much hinted which girl it is that she is. Yeah. It's the one that Andrew got in trouble for sweating and going to Pizza Express with.
Yeah. So, I mean, I presume it's some kind of like a composite, effectively, on account of the fact that she's still alive. So she's not.
So they have her having sex, and she gets possessed by this abused girl, and instantly starts pretending to be a child in sex. Also, a lovely little shaming of the DDLG community. Don't shame them enough, weirdos.
Yeah, I can't get on board with that DDLG shit. Like that needs to fucking stop. The fact that it's become almost a fucking trend, like...
It has. It genuinely has. It's like, I'm just trying to look at titties. I like titties. I don't...
This is it, man. Like, fucking this podcast, what should we call it? All about the MILFs over here, sunshine.
Is this a pro-MILF podcast? What are we saying to the DILFs on this podcast?
Right, do your thing, man. Like, fucking, what should we call it? I'm over here being the cis heterosexual guy, so everything outside of that... Just rock with it. It's all good. It's none of my business. But the DDLG thing, nah. Not down with it.
I'm not one of those people that's like...
If you're going to be putting on baby voices, I'm like, okay, like, all you're doing now is telling me, like, the age you got molested at, and, like, suddenly you've made...
I'm not one of those people that necessarily thinks these things are controlled, but there are, and historically always have been, major connections between Hollywood and the porn industry. And the fact that the porn industry is pushing so many trends that are coercive and at times pedophilic, at other times just straight up like a landlord forcing a tenant to have sex is rape. Like it's either the sane explanation is that it's reflecting the trends of society and this is the thing that people want to consume. The eye emoji the explanation is that big Hollywood is like, let's get the kids thinking this is normal so we can get away with it later. Choose whichever explanation you want. I'm just having fun. So, one of my favorite scenes in the film.
Okay, hit me with it.
She wakes up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
She's had awful sex with a boyfriend.
Yeah.
She goes... Oh, sorry, I've got the order wrong. She does this before she fucks him. She wakes up in the middle of the night and goes to jack off in front of Jeffrey Epstein's mansion.
Hell yeah.
That scene fucking rocked.
And they used the actual location.
The way you said her then, I really thought you were going to say they used her actual pussy juice. That's straight up what I thought. And I was like, fair fox.
Yeah.
Big call.
Presumably
What do you reckon they used for that?
I don't know. Like, that's something I'm gonna have to do a bit of research on, man.
Yeah, like prop liquids.
Yeah. They really went into it. Like,
it looked great. It was sticky. It was stringy.
Yeah, it looked pretty fucking serious, man.
So then she fucks her boyfriend. It's awful. And here we get to the part that Noel and the girl start like falling in love a bit.
Yeah.
Fun. I liked it. Queer love. Cool. Whatever.
Yeah.
I guess you needed that. I don't really fucking care. It was fine.
No, you do need that because like it all makes sense when you bring in the concept of like obsession and like that early love thing.
And you know what? It also
fucking
makes
like
sense.
Those are that's when you are more open to believing things like it's like
I am.
You can get sold on all kinds of shit in the first week of a passionate relationship.
So I'm gonna eye emoji this one.
Yeah.
Have you ever deep dived the Spy Cops stuff?
Hit me.
You know, do you remember when Lush got in trouble for doing a protest against the police?
Yeah.
Where they put out cardboard. They did some kind of weird thing, kind of like what Poundland do, where they put out cardboard copies of police officers hidden in their stores.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a protest against the fact that the police in the UK were infiltrating leftist, trade unionist groups, and undercover officers were having sex with trade unionists and just general Marxist organisers and just fucking regular ass people like
the
Greenpeace.
Whole Spy Cops thing,
Yeah.
right? There was people that
Do you
were
not think
like
there's a
operating
little bit
in
of that in this? That so to like little bit foreshadow what happens later.
That controlled infiltration.
Controlled infiltration. That's a fun little bit of it, because basically they would put someone in to a group who would find out everything about everyone, and then they'd pull them out immediately. Suddenly you've lost your mate. You feel awful. You feel like, oh, my mate's gone, and I'm suddenly like, my reality has shifted. I'm confused by this. And then someone else comes in who suddenly their entire backstory is built on the information that the other person learnt. So they are essentially, and they'll target one person in the group, they're essentially built to be your dream person. So one of the super sicko things they used to do is they really like to target people with dead parents.
Yeah.
So they'd find out who like had some kind of family tragedy, and then the second wave cop would be, that actually happened. Yeah, so I'm sorry, just, my mum died when I was 6. And they'd say it before you said it, and suddenly you'd be like, oh my God, I love this person. They understand me so much. So that's what Spy Cops is. There was almost a little bit of that in the Noelle and the girl romance. Yeah. That, like, she was someone who was willing to indulge in Dasha's fantasies and indulge her in her theories and make her feel seen and make her feel less insane.
This is it, like,
There's so much to this fucking movie, man. It's
class.
Class.
It's the toxicity that comes as a result of, like trying to cure the problems you see in yourself in someone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And ultimately, you're just putting a load of problems together, but, there's always that voice in your head that, if we both have all these same problems together, we can fix them.
Yeah.
And, that ultimately is what a lot of, people who get drawn into the world of conspiracies is
all three of these characters are damaged people in different ways.
Yeah.
And they're different ways of being damaged and being taken advantage of by the world. So they fall in love a bit. They're like, I kind of really liked it. And then they're leaving the apartment, and lovely bit. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
They have the royal wedding spoon.
The amount of fucking Andrew and Fergie merchandise.
Really going onto the Andrew and Fergie stuff.
The amount of Andrew and Fergie merchandise that they've got that's on display in this film, there must have been some serious eBaying going on to put that collection together.
I tell you what it reminded me of, and I loved it so much for this. Do you remember when Kevin Spacey first got outed as a raper?
Yeah.
And he had the videos of Let Me Be Frank.
Yeah, his first one where he had the cup.
Which...
I knew that's what you were going to talk about. Yeah.
Love you, mate. In genuine... So Kevin Spacey, when he first got outed for being a bad raper, weird thing, this is like a little bit of Mandela effect. My auntie's in theatre in London, and she must have told me mum that when I was younger, because I've always known, I think my mum told me that when I was 12 years old. It was like, oh, by the way, Kevin Spacey is gay and also a bit weird. So,
this is it. This is something that's been known information.
Everyone knew.
I know a couple of people who are in acting. There's certain circumstances where, when you start moving in certain circles, it's at some point, Kevin Spacey's going to try and bum your head off. And it was a known thing that you'd be informed of.
So when Kevin Spacey first got outed, he did a bunch of weird-ass videos as his character, Frank Underwood from House of Cards.
Yeah.
In character, and it was straight to camera, and it was just kind of like, you know me, you trust me, we've been through the same thing, you would never let anything bad happen to me. And whilst he's doing them, bear in mind, Kevin Spacey's a noted friend of Prince Andrew, moved in the same kind of circles. He drinks a cup of tea. This is like one of the things that's made me feel more insane than anything in recent years.
Yeah, because when he did that video, like the cup that he's holding, it's like he's making a very specific point of holding this like vintage royal mug.
He moves it to camera.
It's like the account badge shown in, get the badge in.
Yeah.
But the way he is showing this cup to the camera is like someone trying to get their Stone Island logo in. He's wanted to make it very clear.
Drama level of fucking subtlety, and it's Queen's, I want to say, Golden Jubilee mug. Just like, by the way, and the implication that people have taken from that is that it wasn't a message to anyone else but the royals of like, get me out of this.
Sort this out. Like.
Listen, 3 of Kevin Spacey's accusers have killed themselves.
Yeah, there's been people involved in accidents and all, like.
Don't look into it, you'll go insane. But yeah, I loved that bit. It was a tacit threat. It was, it led to further things when Addie's possession becomes obvious.
Yeah.
I thought it was amazing. I really enjoyed that. At first, I thought it was a picture of Diana, and I thought it was like we're going to murder you. But then I realised it was Fergie.
Yeah. And it's kind of that. It's like the whole Stockholm syndrome, like fucking, wanting to be a princess thing, which again plays into the little
So that's
girl
the next
thing.
scene, the scene of her wanking to Andrew.
Yeah.
I loved that scene because there's the instant her snapping back of being disgusted by her behaviour.
Yeah.
She's possessed and she's wanting to have sex with Andrew, and then she's disgusted by herself. It's almost like the way that people's psyches are broken down by grooming, that they are made to want the thing but then instantly repulsed by it. You know what I mean? Like that's what I got from that. And it was playing into the BPD thing.
Yeah.
I didn't get any of the paranoid particle part where they were discussing like Epstein was trying to make people paranoid. I didn't catch any of that whatsoever.
Yeah, I think what a lot of that was to do is because the way that like one of the big things that about conspiracies is like that you conceal the truth through confusion. You put the truth is out there. You put out all these other stories that are also equally incriminating. You create this paranoia, and a lot of it's false. And then that way, the truth allows to
see that actually. So
it's the Metal Gear Solid 2 model. Like the truth is available, but you can't find it because like that's how it is. The problem isn't censorship. The problem isn't the information isn't there. The problem is that there's just so much information.
Yeah, hyper-normalization.
That you can't pick through it to find out what the truth is. But anyone who goes in with an explicit bias just thinks, oh, look, there's the thing I agree with. It's there, so it's there. But if you're going in any kind of impartial route to pick out the truth, everything just contradicts and you can't get to the real point.
So I'm about to just take over the mic and get my bars off because this leads to my favourite scene in the movie.
Hit it.
With the apothecary scene.
Yeah.
I loved it. What did you think? The apothecary scene. That for me was the whole movie. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
It was just like it was, and I think Dash is such a genius for this. It was this idea that conspiracy theories are magic. In an anthropological sense, they are magic. They are because magic, from the idea of studying humanity, has always been, from the shamanistic point of view. So a shaman was someone who could go to a town, do rituals, and take away the sin of the town and leave everyone feeling better.
Yeah,
magic is something that can transmute reality.
Yeah,
that's what a conspiracy theory is. A conspiracy theory is something that can take the world that you think you live in and either bury facts so that you don't believe them anymore, even though you know them to be true. People who saw the shooting videos of the cops fucking not letting people into the building and fucking the cops like doing everything wrong, but still won't believe it. People who saw the Rodney King riot videos, the Rodney King beating videos, and still didn't believe the police did it. People, that's magic. That is a force that has allowed you to not believe the world in front of your eyes. And that is what a conspiracy theory is. That's why it's paranormal. That's why it's a ghost. We all knew that NATO was a peaceful operation that had never done any terrorism in Europe. We all knew that that Gaddafi got rid of his nuclear weapons that he definitely had. We all knew that the CIA had no knowledge of 9/11. But we all know that's bollocks on a personal level. This is magic. This is something that
this is it.
Can change reality.
It's the Hegelian dialect. You create the problem and then you solve it.
Yeah, that's what. That's the thing that I just loved so much about it. And I thought, like, so the cognitive dissonance that comes from knowing one thing and the world being another thing, I kind of feel like it leads to a few different directions that I thought this film represented very well. That you can either mythologize it.
Yeah.
You can either create a fantasy world where Hillary Clinton eats babies in order to keep the world that you enjoy. That's the world that you live in, that you love Donald Trump, and that he's definitely not a rapist. Or, and the opposite of that is true very much as well. People who love fucking Hillary Clinton, but for some reason Trump's friends with Epstein, but Bill isn't. You know, you can go into mythology and have this cognitive dissonance, or you can deep dive and have to reject the entire world in front of your eyes and be like, all of these people in power, no matter which one I like and don't like, are involved in this giant thing to construct and insulate power. Or you can just go crazy. Those are the three options in front of you, and they're represented by the three characters. Yeah. That's why I thought this film was genius.
Yeah.
That's
fucking
it. It's
perfect.
all in the
that brings it all together, man. Amazing
I'm
stuff.
very glad I managed to get that out.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fucking.
I was trying to get it together, and I was like, how do I do this without going insane? I think I went a little bit insane, but I think that's the point of the movie.
Yeah, I think we fucking got it there, man. Yeah, that was fucking fantastic.
So the next scene, what is it?
We're like a fucking hour deep here, like, so
it's the end of the film. It's the end of the film. Is she goes to the apartment and Addie's there, and Addie's crushing the stuff. Addie's crushing flowers and doing a lot of occult ritualistic shit. Enjoyed that.
Kind of like the hipster occult. Like we see that early on with the burning of the sage and that.
Yeah, and I thought that scene was fucking insane.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Oh shit, Virginia Guthrie. No. They have a scene where the other person from Red Scare cameos
as Ghislaine.
Enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah.
Not necessary. Just a fun little bit. What's her name? Anna Kasparian, I think it is.
Yeah. But also like that finally fucking like pulls the point about it, like that this, you know, even if it is Ghislaine, because it's billed as Ghislaine doppelganger in the credits, right there in front of you. So ultimately, that is the point of conspiracy thinking. So, like, so what if it was all true? So what if they were right in front of you, unarmed? What the fuck would you do about it?
There's
the
nothing
answer
you
is
can
nothing.
do about it. Yeah,
the answer is nothing.
You know, they go back to the house, and the girl goes back to the house, and Addie's doing insane ritualistic shit in the underground. Loved that part. And the house was set up so well. This is another reason that I think it's shining influence. That from the start, it's established that the house is a maze. It's established that the house doesn't make any sense. Don't worry about the floor layout. Yeah. It's going to be weird.
Yeah.
Very, very, very Kubrick, but very The Shining, I thought.
Yeah. And I think like Polanski's got a lot going on in here. Like I think it's like his apartment trilogy, particularly Rosemary's Baby, which is very much about gaslighting. It's very
okay.
You know, is it like have you seen Rosemary's Baby?
I haven't. You know,
that's one you should definitely watch. Like, but it's very much about like a woman being gaslit. It's in this same area in New York. It's still Upper East Side, and like being gaslit and confused and like not knowing like being told to deny what she knows for a fact.
Yeah.
It's all this, but also like you've got the thing is that like they use a lot of the cinematic language of like Polanski in this, and like he told that story, but then later turned out to be an abuser
Yeah.
And a predator.
So that's almost like a limited hangout. It's like, oh, I can tell you what's happening here, by the way. I'm going to still do it, but I can't tell you what's happening.
So they've kind of brought it full circle by taking his cinematic language and they're putting it into this.
So they have
that, I think, is the full circle for it.
So they have the underground tunnels below the apartment, which is also like that's a running theme in conspiracy theories, that there's underground tunnels. But
but fucking let me be very clear on this. The fucking like in 2019, around the time this was filmed, the fucking FBI opened the files on the McMartin tunnels and they did exist.
There are a lot of fucking Sean O'Mac, our mate Sean O'Mac just discovered some tunnels in Manchester and was just you never remember when Sean O went mental in those tunnels?
Man.
There's so many tunnels. Like, we don't discuss, but that, you know what, that ties perfectly to the Indian burial ground metaphor. I'm really going off today, boys. That tunnels, I think Brace Belden talks about this a lot, that they're a great metaphor for the things that are happening beneath your feet, the world that our society is built on.
Yeah.
That there's this thing happening that you can't see it, and you can only see parts of it that is below the surface but constructs the whole.
Yeah.
So she goes into the belly of the beast. There's like some kind of tussle, and Addie is killed by the girl
with the rock. The fucking what's
no. That's she kills Noelle with the rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Addie is killed by the girl. She goes upstairs, and Noelle then is revealed to be in on the conspiracy. And kills Addie and tries to kill the girl. The girl, there's a little bit of a tussle. Classic, find a rock on the ground. Yeah. Didn't get why it was amethyst. Not sure.
Because they were given that in the fucking
apothecary. Yeah, I thought there might be something else to it, but
because that was it. Like the apothecary, it's all this bullshit. Like it's all the healing sage, it's all this shit they do to protect themselves, and in the end, it just becomes a weapon.
That's. Bars.
That's it.
Can we get like some classic, like, can we have a Charlie Sloth explosion noise at that? Boo, 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 boo!
Actually, yes.
It didn't work.
Oh, god damn it.
He's gonna edit this so that it works, but I want audience.
Normally we have that flipping, like they got the other 8 roadcasts on there. Normally
didn't work. He's lying. It's never worked. He's trying to gaslight you, just like the Clinton crime family. The Kinell crime family. I won't let them get away with it.
This is the roadcaster that Daniel used. Normally they got the normally that top one in the corner has got like West Side Gun ad libs on it.
Oh yes. Boo 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 boo.
Boo 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 boo.
I'm surprised they've not got, damn, son, where'd you find this? They got to get that one.
I should do that, man. I just talk about conspiracies and flipping, like, obscure indie films that no one's really even searching for. But here we are, man.
We got to get to the ending, though.
Okay, to the ending. Hit the ending, boy.
She goes back to the apartment. The girl. There's a note on the piano.
Yes.
What does it say, Kinell?
I've forgotten.
Says... Give up on your inquiries, of which are completely useless unless further bad shit happens to you. I can't remember what it says. It's the thing from Clockwork. It's the thing from Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah.
That I think is actually a quote of something else, but I did a lot of research and I still couldn't find it, so I gave up. But it
is the Eyes Wide Shut quote when he goes to the gate and all that.
Yeah. It's genius. It's a brilliant way to end the movie. Stanley Kubrick's so tied up in conspiracy lore and the fact his last film before they hit him with the cancer gun, which definitely does exist. I 100% think they have a cancer gun. Why wouldn't they? Loads of shit gives you cancer.
Yeah.
Cancer. The Eyes Wide Shut, which is a whole fucking film about sex cults and the elite.
Yeah. They and like there's things in it like fucking.
There's like
there's a lot of references, like there's musical cues from Eyes Wide Shut that were also reused in this. Like it was like very much one of the reference points for this movie.
I thought it was genius, and it was a way of, like, she's completely insane at this point. She tries to get Greg back to the apartment, but nothing's there. The cleanup crew has already been. The only things that are left are the ghosts. The only things that are left are oh, did you look at this screenshot of this black book? Doesn't matter. Big Tech's already swept the place clean. You can't post your video anymore. It's not there. Greg from work is not going to believe you. Your partner who likes Peter Mandelson is not going to believe you. This thing is designed to make you go insane, and that's why I love the movie. Well, perfect ending.
Boom. Fantastic stuff.
That was fucking mint.
Yeah, man. Okay, I think we're going to wrap up the pod there. Fucking I think more so, if you've come here for information, you might not have got it, but I think you've got a good insight into the emotional journey of both Dean and myself through this film.
It's pure vibes. Like, I don't want people to find out the information, because once you find out the information, you go insane.
It's a detective story where nothing gets solved.
Yep.
Flipping, at the end of it, you're just wondering where the detective came from.
Yeah,
okay, so that's it. Anyway, we'll be back next week with something else. I'm probably going to go back to a top 5 episode next week, because the last couple of episodes have been a bit chaotic. This is something I really wanted to do. Thank you very much, Dean, for coming down. That's Dean. I'm Kinell. This is Cinema. Safe.